Good morning, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Good morning, Phil. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning.
Can you guys just introduce yourself, Bruno?
Yes, that's fine. Yes, so I'm Bruno Millin. I work for Chartered Independent as the mobilization manager and managing education sector, school, independent school, really, mostly.
Alan?
I'm Alan Bird, food consultant. I have a business called Alan Bird Food, etc. And I work as a consultant with many different businesses. Events were part of that, but not so much now. So I work with lots of different businesses in the hospitality industry.
Fantastic. All right. So first question, guys. We'll come to Bruno first. So the government have recently stated that they intend on reopening gradually the hospitality industry as of the beginning of July. How do you see business as in yourself and business in general having to adapt to these to the reopening and the reintroduction of our industry?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough challenge that we don't yet know the scale of it. And that's only especially in the hospitality world, our mostly customers will react to the changes, and how would they just welcome the changes? That's the key part. One of the parts obviously is to understand in some areas. I think people will understand, or have understood already, that some changes have been made, especially into social distancing, and how do we adapt the restaurant world and the hospitality world, but also, in my case, schools and business that we are managing. So we've already made steps because we're lucky enough to have some of the schools are open, and therefore we can sort of already make the right sort of steps forward to social distance ourselves, and not only ourselves in means our teams, but also the school kids and teachers. The big difficulty for us is really around the nursery side of the business. Nurseries obviously are young children, and they cannot be left on their own at all whatsoever. So they've got to have contact with nursery care staff, and it's almost impossible to see a different way to manage that, other than ensuring that there may be some testing done at the beginning for when they come back, or we guarantee that the staff has done the testings as well, and basically ensuring that they're not obviously positive. Even if they don't have symptoms, that we all know, you can carry the virus in yourself and be a carrier, which is the danger of the virus. So that's why we've got to just understand what the school is prepared to do. But in regard to lunches and how do we manage it, and how we can sort of see differences, we've got to stagger the lunch service. That's one of the key things, especially in business industry, as well as schools, education areas. We'll have to decide and find ways to start earlier and then obviously finish lunch later, to scatter the groups of people who will be able to come in. The fact that we have the schools we will have a first test for the 1st of June, or the first week of June, when we have obviously receptions and year 6 coming back to school. So that's already the first challenge for us, which is in about 2 weeks, where we'll see how we can adapt at that level with small numbers, and how we can sort of make the difference. If it's possible to manage them in that sense, of by opening all areas, even though they're not required to open, but we've got to make sure we have all the areas open, so we have less people to manage at once in one area specifically. And then we're looking at other areas as well, like street food styles, locations within the estate of the school. So having more point of sales will reduce numbers in each point of sales. So therefore, it's a way of creating a new style of business, maybe retaining some of the staff that would probably be made furloughed or redundant, because suddenly you offer a different sort of locations to be able to open again. And that's something we're looking at to do some of the schools. And that's obviously a cost. And the client will have the last say about it. They pay the bills, and they will decide whether it's the right directions. But as far as I'm aware and concerned, this is already concessions we're having with some of the clients, and they are very happy to take that route forward. And then the rest is to review our cleaning procedures. So that's the key part as well. Will also an effect on staff level. Is to how to manage key points, touch points, areas where most of them will need to be cleaned every 15 minutes as part of the new rules and regulations. And now we will manage that side of it with the level of staff that we normally have. That will be a challenge. But I know that the school is very keen, and most of the schools are keen to work with us in that sense and make sure things are getting a little bit better. We've already installed all sorts of hand wash facilities across the school, a lot more, so that will also help as well with reducing the virus to come in. So every kid's coming through, they have to wash their hands. Every teachers come through have to wash their hands beforehand. So that's already a positive point, which was already started before the lockdown, and will continue far after the lockdown is finished, and probably 4 years to come, maybe. So that's what we've been doing so far.
That's great. Alan, same question to you. How do you see your business adapting, and how are you advising your customers? I know obviously it's a bit of a guessing game because every day is new to us, but what advice are you passing on so far?
Well, talking to friends and people in the industry, it's interesting to see how they're adapting. In particular, there's some good friends of ours who own a pub in Hertfordshire, in Hunsdon, called the Fox and Hounds. And I'd been to see James, the chef proprietor there, just before lockdown sort of kicked in. And we were sort of discussing, what's going to happen. We didn't know anything about lockdown sort of to the extent it was going to kick in. I don't think we knew an awful lot about the virus too much at that point. But over this lockdown period, it's been interesting to see how he's adapted. I think the first big challenge he had on his plate, excuse the pun, or as the case wasn't at the time, was Mother's Day. So an awful lot of people had booked in for Mother's Day, and then they had a huge swathe of cancellations as lockdown was announced. So you can imagine the trauma that sort of caused them. But then they adapted very quickly, and the changes they made were to introduce a takeout. So you could order your Sunday roast, and you could pick it up and take that away. So they adapted in that respect. And then moving forward, the next thing they did was introduce like a weekly menu that they put on social media, and said that in their local village they could deliver within a certain sort of radius. But they announced that at the beginning of each week, and people can decide which meals they want to take, and then they call up in advance, and then they can collect them. Some people are turning their restaurants into shops. One of my friends down in Cornwall, just outside Padstow, has turned his restaurant, Trevisca's, into a food store. So he's now using that opportunity to be, a big help to the local community. He can't, offer them the service he used to offer, but he still has a great range of products that he gets from his suppliers. So in two ways, he's helping his suppliers survive, and he's helping his customers survive. So that's good to see. And what he does as well, he works with his suppliers, and say on a Saturday he might have his local lobster guy comes into the car park, because he's based in a garden centre, and as long as people can, social distance and queue, obviously with the 2 metre space between them, they can buy the lobsters from the lobster guy. Then certain nights he does things like Friday night he'll do a fish and chip night. Again, you can pick up your fish and chips, you order them in advance, different sauces to go with them. And I spoke to him the other week, and I think he did about 260 people on a Friday night for fish and chips, which is incredible. So, there's ways and means of adapting. And I think it's down to creativity of the individual or the individual businesses. It was interesting what Bruno mentioned earlier about street food. I think that's going to become, going to have a resurgence again, certainly in London, where people are going to find it hard to, go and eat out at lunchtime. They'll probably eat at their desk if they're working in an office. But equally, to be able to maintain that social distancing, I think you've got to have some creative offers out there. And I think grab and go, certainly in canteen environments, are going to be hugely popular as people try to maintain that social distance. So, yeah, there's some big challenges, but I think it's exciting, and that's what makes it good for myself and other people like me, to be creative and help those people and give them the support and give advice to them, and hopefully help them put those things into place.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and what you touched on earlier about everyone working together, from consultants to manufacturers to the end users and governing bodies. I think everyone needs to share as much information as possible moving forward,
absolutely.
so that we all want to succeed and we all want to win, but we have to do it together. Otherwise, it's our industry that's going to be reducing, and then that has a knock-on effect to everybody.
Absolutely. It's tough for people like asparagus growers. The English asparagus season is only a very short season, but because there's no restaurants or hardly any restaurants that are open, their product needs to still get out there and be sold. So, whether that's to supermarkets or, as the case of a lot of chefs are adapting and becoming shops now, or they're making pre-made meals, but still trying to use those premium ingredients. It's giving the support to those suppliers or producers that's going to, make sure the relationship you have with them going forward is maintained. And as I said, I think people will remember, those things that you do now are going to be how you're judged when we get back to some kind of normality. So it's important.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, I think, there's definitely going to be noted the people that try and exploit situations rather than support in these situations.
Yeah, hopefully there's not too many of them.
No, I haven't recalled any yet, but let's hope that everyone stays sensible and supports each other. I mean,
I've been amazed with the actual collaborations between businesses and shared of ideas and shared of and the charitable work that a lot of the large businesses have been doing. And obviously we're part of that there here at New Hall, for instance, where I am now. We've donated over 2,000 packs of biscuits and crisps that were going out of date to a local food banks in Chelmsford, just to make sure we support the team rather than to use the stock or to waste the stock and goes to the bin. So it's a matter of using for the right reason, and we. Yes, of course, we are supporting the cause. We're supporting some of the cause, but I think it comes across that every single business have been doing it. You can tell on social media how much effort that people have put together to, whether they're small or large, everyone's getting into the same sort of situations and trying to push forward. And hopefully, as you said, and hopefully it's not going to stop here, and it will carry on once we go back to normal. In the sense of, I know there's always a competitive edge, and we have to, because it's part of our business. But on the other hand, hopefully it'll be a much better place to come out of that situation in terms of working together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree. So moving on, hygiene and cleanliness once everything opens, in my opinion, and I'm sure yours, is going to be paramount and top of customers and suppliers' agenda. So what measures do you think manufacturers, restaurateurs, hoteliers, anybody, what measures do you think need to be in place to reassure the customer coming in that
Let me jump in on this one.
Yeah, go for it, Bruno.
Yeah, go for it, Bruno.
So we work with, as a company, we work with Ecolab. So I've been in touch with our suppliers, Ecolab, mostly to start with, to have a look at what they are doing themselves in supporting us and our clients to ensure where we get to the right sort of level. So basically put a full big sort of brochure together on a very detailed brochure, actually, on helping us to manage the process. And out of that, we'll create a training matrix with Ecolab. So we'll come to the schools, different schools, and trains all the teams in the sense of a COVID-19 training matrix to ensure that we are almost validating in the form of training that our teams understand what the new processes are and what does it mean for us to provide this. And that will reassure our, not necessarily just the school clients, but also the parents who are the ones who are bringing their kids into the schools. We've also been in touch with our deep cleaners, or cleaners of all our kitchens and our restaurant areas, to ensure that we have basically pre-opening COVID-19 sort of deep clean. So not a normal deep clean. We will have obviously a normal deep clean as such, but the following day of that deep clean, there will be a COVID-19 style of sanitizing to really deep clean completely all the areas with product that will disinfect and basically get rid of any sort of virus infections. That again is an accreditation that you get once you've done that, and that's again to reassure parents mostly of our sort of ability to move and adapt and move forward to the new normal, as we call it, to make sure that we do the right things. So two really big areas. I would say not just two big areas, is also talking about our suppliers. Our suppliers have got dispensers, for instance, water dispensers, who are now at the moment all touch point bases. We obviously working with our suppliers to try to look at sensors dispensers. So rather than to have to put your hands on the touch and touch a button, you put your glass of water underneath and the water just automatically so feeds itself. And the only touch that you have is your own glass, which gets washed afterwards. So that's one thing. We are separating cutleries and wrap them into napkins and stuff like that. So that's one touch only. So there's no shared hands into cutlery trays where you're most likely to obviously contaminate the cutleries over there. So there's a lot of little ideas, even to a point where ketchups and sauces and condiments are all now have to be sachets, have to be separate. They have to be separate and sachets. You cannot be to be seen as now having large sort of sauce dispensers, have salt and peppers in area. So there's probably going to be a lot of other new discovery or new ideas that will come out of that situations from various suppliers who are looking at ensuring that their business is still viable by providing solutions. and I think we are part of that conversations. We are probably at the heart of it, because we are the end product, in the sense of trying to gauge what's going to be the best for us. And I'm sure our suppliers are working behind the scenes just to help us to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that you will see, you're right, you will see a lot of people coming up with new ideas and almost new businesses being created out of this with new ideas.
Correct.
Alan, yourself, what sort of measures are you advising your clients that they need to take from a hygiene point of view and cleanliness?
Well, obviously, as Bruno touched upon, people like Ecolab and Zenith Hygiene, companies like that, they're going to be your first point of call. Speak to your supplier that does all your hygiene and cleaning products, and they'll be working away, or have been working away at what's going to happen post lockdown in terms of offering hand sanitizers and various other sanitizing products that's going to help you open your business and make sure it's clean and ready for opening up and accepting customers. In terms of staff as well, there's going to be some retraining that's going to need to be done. Again, all social distancing and that in place. So yeah, there's some huge training challenges ahead, I think, for front of house and back of house. How that's going to work, we'll only see as time moves on. And I think that, as I said earlier, being adaptable, being proactive is how it's going to work, I think, for some people. And then I think, as we sort of touched upon earlier, it's going to be a case of having to provide items that are pre-sealed, pre-portioned, that can't be touched by too many people. You choose what you want from the counter from a distance, and then you approach the counter at a safe distance and pick up whatever it is you need or you'd like to purchase. So I think there's going to be some changes in various environments where there have been touch screens involved. They're obviously not going to be able to be used. Even things like doorways, walking in and out of a premise, there's going to have to be automatic doors, I think, to allow people to have the confidence to walk in somewhere and not worry about whether they're picking anything up on the door in and out of the place. So yeah, there's lots of challenges, I think, for all different types of businesses that are going to have to interact with each other. And that's where I'll be looking to see if I can help people and advise them and innovate and try and come up with some interesting solutions to it all.
Yeah, no, completely. And from obviously from myself working at Myco as a manufacturer, we've got a whole raft of certification showing that our dishwashers, glass washers, that when they achieve certain temperatures on their rinse cycles are killing bacterias and the like. So from a manufacturing point of view, as our customers, what are you looking for from support from us to ensure that if you're looking at a purchasing point of view, you're confident in what you're purchasing? And Alan, from yourself, are you advising people on purchasing of equipment, or are you more do you focus just solely on the food side?
No, I do get involved on the equipment side of things. Funny enough, I was only talking to Dande the other day, and very much like yourself, all their staff are furloughed until the hospitality industry reopens again. There's no, they can't be paying staff to get back into the factory until there's a need for the product. So it's difficult, but I think moving forward, as you sort of touched upon there, with it's going to be giving confidence to those customers that the service that you're providing or the product that you're providing is going to be safe, it's going to be healthy, it's going to be user friendly, and it's not going to be too expensive, because everything's going to be about cost as well. Everyone's struggling, I think, financially. The whole country is going to be in recession, as Rishi was talking about yesterday. So it's going to be a difficult time, and I think that to add an extra level of service to whatever you do, without there being a charge added to it, is going to be a huge part of that. So if you can offer those certificates and all those other bits that reassure people that your product is doing its job to the best of its ability, that's what people are going to be looking for.
I think if I jumped on it, if you don't mind, Alan, is if we have, obviously, as we do in several schools, but when we have projects on hold, and some of them will have an impact on hygiene, it's a really key point to talk to our clients, and then really push them to to go the routes of finding the best solutions. And again, to reassure parents, that's a PR tool for them as much as anything else. I know there is obviously a cost involved, and we all know that all the projects that have been sort of forecasting have been put on hold, but it's a conversation that needs to happen on a monthly basis as to when we're gonna get back to normal, and then to reassure them that by doing this sort of move that we're planned already, is to bulletproof a business for the long term, not necessarily just for the short term now, where things get quite difficult. We're looking at the future as well, and the long term future, not just now. Now again, what's the future holds, we don't all know. That is something that times will tell, and our people. But I'm confident that although the recession will be here, there will be emergence of other businesses coming through. There will be creativity, innovations, and things will be done slightly differently. But I'm sure there will be sort of probably the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a matter of convincing, but also working with our clients and ensuring that once we look at equipment and supplies or changes of sort of areas such as large plate wash areas, we've got to just talk about the hygiene side and be reassured by our suppliers that this is what you Meko, for instance, as an example, do and provide in terms of certificate to reassure, because we can advertise that on their website. We can advertise everything we do to protect ourselves, to protect and reassure the parents.
Yeah, no, that all sounds perfect. Well, gents, I thank you very much for giving up your time today. Is there any further points you wanted to add, or are you happy?
No, I think happy. Happy with what we've been talking.
Perfect. Well, yeah, thank you very much again to you both for giving up your time. And yeah, stay safe, and I wish you every success moving forward. And I look forward to catching up with you again when we can get back out on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
A social distancing beer, maybe.
yeah, that sounds perfect. All right, guys, thank you very much. Take care.
No worries.
Thank you.
Care.
Thank you, Alan.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Phil. Bye now.